Good morning, people. What is going on? Morning stream back again. Looking forward to going through some of the breaking news with you today. Trent Alexander-Arnold updates. Paul Pogba unhappy again, according to Didier Deschamps. We're going to break that down. We're going to go through it in a bit more detail. Do me a big favor. Hit the like button right about now, people. Love this song. Morning, Timothy. How you doing? R.I.P. Trent Alexander-Arnold. Listen, we're going to go through that in a bit more detail. Make sure you're hitting like buttons. Make sure you're hitting share buttons as well. Very, very important to the Football Terrace that we get that done. But Trent Alexander-Arnold, he's reacted now to the news. He has been confirmed out with a calf injury. It's going to keep him on the sidelines for between 4 to 6 weeks. 4 to 6 weeks he is going to be out. Of course, Liverpool have a 4 weeks. Paul Joyce has said, I've read other reports that say 4 to 6 weeks, but he's going to be out for at least the minimum 2 weeks after the international break. Look, if you're going to pick up a 4 to 6 week injury, you're best off picking it up at the beginning of an international break, because 2 weeks of that recovery time you are going to be spent when there's no games for Liverpool. So that's some. Look, it's never good news, but that's the saving grace. The big question is, who comes into the right back position? Will it be James Milner, tried and tested in that area, or is it about time Jurgen Klopp gave another academy member a chance? Nico Williams. Is it time to maybe give him an opportunity to show Jurgen Klopp and to show the Liverpool faithful, listen, I want to challenge Trent for his position. There's going to be a 3, 4, 5, 6 game period. I want to play the majority of those games. We've seen Curtis Jones get a bit of opportunity this year, not played in the big game against City. I personally would love to see Jurgen Klopp throw some faith into more of his youth when there are other options available, as opposed to it being a last ditch choice. Matip comes back fit, and Nate Phillips and Reece are pushed out. But let's see what happens. I think for me, it's Fabinho could also be back as well, so maybe he'll come in and play at right back. I can understand that. But of course, young Nico will be screaming for the opportunity as an out-and-out right back. And, most Liverpool fans told me he's a backup right back. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. But Twisted Bubba says, great time to play Liverpool. Probably the best time to play Liverpool in the last 2 or 3 years, no doubt. But they're still favourites in every single game they play in. So let us not get twisted about that. I want to speak Paul Pogba as well. Didier Deschamps has come out and said that he believes Paul Pogba is unhappy at Manchester United. We'll go through his comments here. He says he is not in the best period. He has had a series of injuries and the CV-19, which has hit him quite hard. He needs to find his rhythm. The match he had to make last month was good and consistent despite a lack of pace. We cannot, however, say that he is fulfilled with what he does at his club. With me, there is no such concern, but I try to manage it too. When a player is in discomfort at his club, obviously he is happy to play for the French team. He will tell me about his feelings, and as I know him very well, I will go in a positive direction, even if it's also up to him to make all the efforts. I think everything that Didier Deschamps has said there is fair. He said his situation with his club where he cannot be happy, neither with his playing time nor with his positioning. And I actually understand why Paul Pogba wouldn't be happy. Why would you be happy with being on the bench for the majority of games? Paul Pogba also shouldn't be happy with his individual performances this year. On the whole, they simply haven't been good enough. It is as simple, as straightforward and as blunt as that. I think people can try and twist it up which way they want to. But I would say this season, especially Fred and Bruno Fernandes have been far more consistent. And there are a lot of Man United fans who would probably like to see Van der Beek given an opportunity in front of Paul Pogba. Now, I want to see Paul Pogba fight. I want to see Paul Pogba push to get himself back into the first team at Man United. But I'm not particularly sure whether or not he is going to do that. Like, legitimately, I do not know whether he is going to want to do that. I'm not sure if that is what he does. I'm not sure if that's what he does. Updating something here. But I want your views and I want your opinions on it. The Skype lines are open. So if you want to give us a call, you want to come on the show right about now, feel free to. Make sure you're hitting that like button, ladies and gentlemen. Really, really important that you get that done. Twisted Bubba here says, Terry, do you think Paul Pogba is more ambitious than United? Yes. As a football club, not than his peers at United, not than the manager at United, but the club. Of course, Man United don't care about winning major trophies. Paul Pogba does. The United extra time, he says, Terry, involve Pogba with a swap deal for Valverde, maybe. Just looking here, says, so are United fans prepared to watch United be all he can be somewhere else? So United fans prepared to watch United be, you mean Pogba be all he can be somewhere else? Listen, if someone doesn't want to be at my football club for whatever reason, I can accept that. I'm not going to cry about it like a little baby. Timothy Chu here says, international breaks equal Pogba news frenzy. In fairness to this news about Paul Pogba, these are direct words from Didier Deschamps' mouth, but I don't think what he said is wrong. Paul Pogba can't be happy. If Paul Pogba was happy being on the bench at Man United, that would be the problem. That would be the problem. How you handle your anger is the important element. And that's the same for the whole of your life. Being angry isn't a criminal offense. Being angry isn't unprofessional. Being angry doesn't mean that you're not in control of yourself. It's how you respond. It's your reaction to being angry. If he tries to throw his manager under the bus, if he's disrespectful to his teammates, if he stops trying hard, those are negative reactions. If he gets his head down and fights to get back into the team, that's a great response to being angry about something. It's a great response to, I'm going to prove the manager wrong when I come on and play. And in fairness to Paul, every time he's come on as a substitute in the last month, I think he's put in a good shift. I think he's put in a good amount of effort. I've been really impressed with what it is he has done. Harrison Lang here says, Terry, Bruno has 146 goals and assists in his last 160 games. Let that sink in. No wonder rivals hate him. Bro, no wonder some Man United fans hate him. I don't. It's just astonishing. 146 goal contributions in his last 160 games. I keep telling people, best attacking midfield player in the world, because there are some that are going to be more technically gifted than him. There'll be some that are better dribblers than him. There'll be some that are better passers than him. There'll be some that are better at headering than him. Some that are better at dribbling, whatever. But at the end of the day, his main attribute is to score and create goals, and he is doing it at a rate above and beyond every other player in his position in the world. Absolutely astounding. And there are not glaring holes in his game. There are, of course, things he does wrong in matches, but they're not disproportionate to that of other creative players. That's a fact. Amazing player. Another member here, Anish Joshi, says, get a good 70, 75 million for Pogba if he really wants to leave. Anything less will mean us getting our pants pulled down. I think that's the element as well here. United are going to want to keep things amicable, get a good amount of money for Paul, and then hopefully the hope is Man United reinvest that money. That would be my hope, that we put that money back into the squad, back into the playing element of the team. The issue I have, the legitimate issue I have with that is I don't trust the board to do that. I honestly don't trust the Manchester United board to reinvest that money. Just looking here, says, I'm a France supporter, so I love Pogba. I want him to play his best football, and it will be great if that isn't for United. I hear you on there. I hear you on that. Why would you want to? Timothy here says, my only gripe with Pogba is the class player should be able to pull off brilliance and push their team like Bruno has done. And you know what? Everybody has a difference of opinion on that. And I think a lot of people agree with you, Timothy, that they want to see Paul Pogba drag the team back. They want to see Paul Pogba bounce back from an abject and poor performance with a match-winning performance. And he doesn't do that enough, Paul. And that's a fact. You know, Bruno Fernandes was dragged over the coals for his performances against Arsenal and Istanbul. And although he was still the chief creator in those two games, he was poor. But with Bruno in a Man United shirt, he's played 40-odd games in all competitions. If he has a bad performance, invariably within a game or two, he's back to dragging you forward, winning you games, scoring important goals, assisting important goals, which is his main job. And you want to see that. It's like a striker. Like Rashford didn't have a great game against Everton, but I'm confident in the next couple of games he's going to come back and score. You know, it's like with Martial. I'm criticizing Martial's performance at the minute because he's been poor. But, you know, my want is for him to come back and score. He's in a bit of a rut at the minute. He'll get out of this rut and he'll go on a good run. But I think a lot of Man United fans that dislike Bruno are United fans that are big Paul Pogba supporters. And I think they see the situation with Paul. They know that he's not at the same level as as Bruno in terms of the outputs. They know he's not at the same level when it comes to man of the match performances in a Man United shirt. They know that he just hasn't clicked at United in the same way that Bruno has for whatever reason. And that may not even be Paul's fault. It's not even about blaming Paul. It's just about the way things go. So I think they hate on Bruno because some United fans want Pogba to be looked at in the same light that people view Bruno through. And it isn't happening. And for me, I mean, I just love all my players equally. I don't really get into these things, but there we go. Super chat here says a defensive midfielder needs to work his socks off. Well, that's the thing. Pogba isn't a defensive midfielder. He should be a deep line playmaker. If Pogba does leave, I'd love to replace him with Ndidi. I'd want to use every single penny to bring in Ndidi into that midfield. I think it would elevate us hugely. James Butler here says Peaky Blinders style, where they burn the photos of the king and call the news to get the reaction. Fans burning their shirts and sacred badges, tagging responses to Chevrolet. Hashtag badge burning reply. The problem is with the badge burning, it doesn't really do anything because what you just need to do is stop buying. That's more important than a kind of arbitrary flag burning, in my opinion. Let's see a few things here. Dortmund are unhappy with the Sancho focus and effort. His heart is elsewhere. Can we sign him in January? Maybe. But the way if the reports of his attitude are true, that puts me off of him as a player. I don't want to see that. The one thing I've been really impressed with Paul Pogba with, he's working hard every time he comes on the pitch as a substitute. Last season, he wanted to leave, but when he played, I thought he put a real shift in. I want to see someone go, do you know what? I didn't get what I want. I'm going to work hard still. I'm going to be professional still on the club. I'm really not a big fan of, downing tools and misbehaving. But from a Dortmund point of view, they could end up with massive egg on their face. If he drops a disaster season, his valuation plummets so much. So much. And equally, Man United have got a man Traore coming in January. If that boy comes in and hits the ground running, by the summer, there may not even be any want by Man United to go in and sign Jadon Sancho. That's how football can fluctuate so quickly. It really, there've been players in the past that everybody's after, everybody wants. They either don't get their move or whatnot, and suddenly within a year or two, nobody's kind of clamoring after them anymore. This just happens. This just happens every now and then. United fans who hate Bruno are honestly weirdos. How do you hate your team's best player by a mile? I don't even think it matters whether he's the best player or not. Just, I kind of understand that the getting on the back of the Lingards and the Phil Joneses of this world. But there are certain Man United players, Rashford being one, Bruno being another. The disrespect these individuals are shown is it beyond staggering, like legitimately beyond staggering. It makes no sense. Like no sense at all. Other than the fact that they're not real Man United fans, that they are customers of the club. They prefer the careers of 2 or 3 of our star players as opposed to the football club and the badge and the heritage. And they care more about their favorite player being the star than they do the club winning. And if that's your primary want, it's always going to create a situation where you're going to be sort of disrespectful towards or disingenuous more so towards another player. Cedric Levy here, another member, says, morning, Terry. Did you see the biggest MUFC channel on Reddit has changed their branding to green and gold? No, I don't use Reddit. I don't use a lot of social media platforms. I didn't see that at all. That's an interesting one. I mean, that's a great gesture, but I assume a big platform on Reddit could start a bigger movement than that, and actually start to try and enforce genuine change. I'm not saying I'm just putting it out there. That's just my view anyway. Terry, love your channel from New Zealand. Liverpool supporter here, but Man United and All Blacks both fun. Just think they can win no matter what. Listen, I think Man United fans are beyond thinking they can win no matter what. Liverpool supporters, I want your reaction to Trent Alexander-Arnold being confirmed out for a minimum of 4 weeks, maybe up to 6 weeks to get back to full fitness with a calf injury. Who comes in to play for him in that right back position? I want to know now. United fans, more Pogba news. He's unhappy. He's frustrated, etc., with the Manchester United team. What are your thoughts and what are your feelings? I really want to know now. Hassie here, who is a Liverpool fan, says Trent needed a rest. He has been playing consistently. Yeah, I don't think that's a bad. But who's coming in to replace? Let's forget him for a minute. I want to know who you want to come in and play and why. That's the question. Dig J Daz here says Nico Williams and Milner to share the minutes. I think that's fair. Another comment here says Milner and Nico Williams will replace Trent Alexander-Arnold. I get that. Gomez or Fabinho to play right back too. Yeah, Gomez can, with the other injuries. I'm not sure if Gomez will. What do I want to do with Pogba? That's a good question, Twisted. It's not really about what I want to do. I think what I want to do is almost irrelevant to an extent. I think it's about what does Paul Pogba want to do. If he wants to be here, then I think we work a way of getting him into the team. If he doesn't, then we don't. And I think if he's told, and this is another reason why he might be being dropped. If he's told the club I want to leave at the end of the summer, no matter what, I don't think they should build a team around Pogba. What's the point? Again, this isn't about short-termism. This is about building something more for the future. We've got Kelly Young on the phone. Kelly Young, what are you saying?
Hello. Good morning.
Morning. What's in your mind?
And yesterday I saw the news about Pogba.
Yep. Can you do me a favor can you do me a favor, please, Kelly, and turn your device down in the background, please?
Okay. I'll turn it down now. And then he said the coach in France that Pogba is not happy about the playing time. About the game time that is not to have in Manchester United, and he's not happy about his form now because of the coronavirus that's affecting and the injury of last season.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but what's your opinion on that? Tell me what you think.
I know I'm a big fan of Pogba, and I know maybe after this national duty in France, he will come back stronger and fight for his place in Manchester United.
Kelly, listen, I appreciate your call, my friend. Sounds like you're very busy where you are. Thank you, and I hope so as well. I hope that Paul Pogba takes this opportunity to fight for his place in the team. I just have the feeling, though, that Paul Pogba wants out of Manchester United And because he wants out of Manchester United, that's what's going to happen. He will eventually leave, in my view. And if he does want to leave, I don't want him to be a starter this season. I want us to integrate Van der Beek. I want us to use Bruno more because they're going to be here beyond next season. I think it's important to get that done. Sanjay here says, Terry, do you think Liverpool might buy a defender because of the injuries? I think you need to. Matip is a consistent injury at all times. Van Dijk's probably out for the season. Phillips and Williams, are they ready? I don't know. Gomez has looked a little shaky this year, so maybe you do need to go out and buy someone. I think that would be a sensible thing to do. There's no doubt about it. Hassie here says, I'm not too concerned with Trent being out. Maybe it will be better for him for the rest of the season. Could be a blessing in disguise. Yeah, I think for Trent, he doesn't have a bad injury record. It could be having a sort of month off for the rest of his body to recover and recuperate could very much be a good thing. I don't think that's a bad way of assessing or looking at this at all. Trent's injury is only 2 weeks with the international break. Yes, well, yes, a month from now. So yes, 2 weeks. And let's take a look at that in terms of game time that he'll miss. Let's look at Liverpool's fixtures here. Look at who it means he'll miss. I mean, you do have a couple of big Premier League games, actually, after the return, I think. I might be wrong. But yes, you have Leicester on the Saturday when the Premier League return time hasn't been confirmed yet. You then have Atalanta, which I think you'll be fine. Then you have Brighton. So we're looking up until about the 10th, 11th of December. We're back. Then you've got the Ajax game. Then you've got the Wolverhampton Wanderers game. Then Midtjylland and Fulham. It's actually not a bad run of games to be out for, is it? When you think about it. So Leicester, yeah, that'll be a big miss because Leicester are going to be tough. Atlanta, you'll be easily. Brighton, I think you'll be easily. Ajax, it'll be a dead rubber by then because you'll have qualified. Wolves will be a tough game. And then Midtjylland and Fulham. So you really probably couldn't have picked a better selection of games. And then after that Fulham match, when he returned, you've got Tottenham, Palace, West Brom, Newcastle. It's a really easy, well, barring the 16th against Tottenham, a nice, easy Christmas run for Liverpool as well, up until the 16th of. I mean, that's when the run becomes a little tough. You got Man United and Tottenham back to back in the middle and end period of January. But Liverpool's run is quite favourable. They don't really have a tool. Actually, later. Wow, look at that beginning of Feb. Look at the beginning of February. They do have that. They play City, followed by Leicester, followed by Everton. That's a tough run. You normally, most seasons, you'll always get a club with a cluster. In fact, if you go back to the middle, so if you go from the middle of January, it's United, Tottenham, West Ham, Brighton, City, Leicester, Everton. That will be the run of 7 games, which decides whether Liverpool are champions or not. You see, you can always spot these things from a mile away. But there we go. This is Harrison Lang, who says, sell Pogba in the summer, buy Sancho and Upamecano. Maybe. Terry, have a lot of chat about how changing the Man United manager won't change things at United. Should a manager... Oh, deleted your comment. Where's it gone? Oh, he retracted it. I was reading the comment and man retracted it. Why are Man United still trying to find a place for Pogba when he stated so many times that he doesn't want to be at the club? Let him go. Well, Josh Peters, you make a really good point. It's a genuinely good point. And I've said it a number of times myself. Maybe we should just be looking beyond Paul Pogba. Maybe we should just be looking beyond him now and using him sparingly and start to think about the future. Maybe that's what Ollie's doing. Again, maybe Pogba will stay if we bring in a new manager, but I don't know. I don't know if he wants to. I don't know if he's prepared to take the risk. I don't think we're going to improve dramatically with a new manager. So why I can't be like, Paul, stay, man. We're going to get Poch. That'll sort it out. I don't know if it will. Hit that like button, please, ladies and gentlemen. Do me that big honor. LFC Rants here says Trent will be a big miss, but this season has not been. He has not been at the same level which is shown in he's shown in the last couple of years. It's because Trent's level in the last few years have been beyond exceptional. They have been at a level above and beyond anything expected of a fullback in previous times. And this so far this season, he has performed a much more ordinary level in terms of the outputs that you see from him. We almost predicted that to an extent. And Liverpool were going to try and play less, in my opinion, sort of less through the wings. I felt that they were going to play, as I say, less through the wings. I thought they were going to play a little bit more through the central areas. They haven't had Thiago to make that work, but it doesn't just mean you switch your style. I mean, so far this season, it ain't bad. That's the interesting thing. Like 8 games in, only 1 assist in the Premier League so far, which for Trent Alexander-Arnold isn't where he'd want to be, creating 1.6 opportunities per game. You know, when you start sort of looking at that and you compare it to like last year, so what we 8 games in, so we're getting towards 1/4 of the way into the season. Last year, I don't remember how many he got. How many did he get last year? Genuinely, I swear, man, got like 15 plus assists last year. I don't want to be wrong. I'm going to go have a look now. Let's go to player stats. Oh, my neck. My neck is killing me, man. Let's go to assists and let's go to last season. How many assists did he have last year, Trent? Like 13 last year. The thing with it is, right, is 13's astronomical for a right back. Season before that, I mean, he got 27 in all. So I think season before that, he got quite a few as well, where he got 12. So, do you know what I mean? So yeah, 12 and 13, 2 years running is huge. Let's see how much. And you always get like years like slight anomalies. So if you go back last year, 20 assists for KDB, which is absolutely out of this world. But the season before that, I'm just looking here on the list. KDB only got, Jesus, he's not even in the top 16. Where's he at? I can't even find him. Where's he at here? Nope. So the season before that, I still can't find him. Where you at, KDB? Why can't I find you, bro? He got barely any assists the year before that. I can't believe it. I know he was injured quite a bit. Still not on the list. Jesus. Did he only get 1 or 2 assists? Where I must have missed him. He can't be on there. He can't be sitting there on 2. Oh, yeah. He got 2 assists in the whole of that previous season, but that'll be partly because of injury. If we go back to 17-18 season, there he is at the top on 16, which is quite normal for him. Go back to the year before that. There he is on 18. Man's a huge assister. But like for fullbacks to be getting that kind of level, it's very, very high, even with taking corners. You might find this year drops back to normal for Trent. Yeah, he might come in with 5 or 6, which is kind of not, and it also depends on the people finishing, doesn't it? Like Trent could put 10 corners, plumb balls on someone's head. If the headers don't go in, you don't get the assists. So chances created and clear-cut opportunities being created, I think, is a little bit more important. Thank you to Shane O'Hare for becoming a legendary member of the Football Terrace and signing up. That means a great deal to us, my friend. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Everybody who's tuning in right now, over 500 of you, please hit that like and share button. International Week's really hard for the independent content creators because the news isn't as big. What we really need from you all is you smashing that like button for us. It's so, I can't express enough how important it is for you to hit that button right now. Hussein is with us. Hussein is a Bayern Munich fan, regular on the show. What you saying, my brother?
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Terry. How you doing, bro?
Yeah, I'm very well, my man. I'm very well, thank you.
Yeah. So the Paul Pogba thing, I've been concerned since that time he said, that he had like an interest for playing for Real Madrid. And I think right now, again and again with France, every time he gets called up for France and he starts going to their camp, there's just always something coming out with him and a problem with United. And right now, I think it's really showing where it might go, the direction. And I think Paul Pogba most certainly is going to leave at this point. That's what I personally think. And I think, because it's really weird to see, Deschamps, he's a great manager, but it's really weird to see him just out of nowhere just say, oh, Paul Pogba's unhappy and he's not playing in the right position and things. And I think for the people saying that Paul Pogba he's never done good at United, they need to understand one thing though, that when Oli got the job, from that day to the end of the season, Paul Pogba wasn't even that bad of a player. He was doing very well under Oli at the time. I think the injury he had the season following kind of took a toll on him, but you can't disregard the fact that he did do well under Oli. I think it's just him now making him play as a, like a deep lying playmaker. That's kind of affecting him. So
yeah, look, mate, I understand that, and none of us really know the truth of the matter. I think one thing you've said, which is absolutely spot on, regardless of why, he doesn't want to be at Man United. I think it's as clear as the nose on the end of my face. And sometimes you're better off for everybody cutting your losses, selling him, hopefully reinvesting the money, and everybody moves on, because I don't want to see Paul Pogba face the abuse that he gets. I don't want to see that personally. That first and foremost for me, that's it makes me sick. It makes me legitimately sick to see him go through what he does. I want him moved on for that reason. And equally, it removes an excuse. Now, Paul Pogba gets criticism he deserves, but equally, he's also used as a scapegoat. And I don't want to see, when he leaves, if we remain being inconsistent on the field of play, it's vindication for Paul that it isn't just down to him. Equally, for people that consistently defend Paul Pogba, it becomes really hard if a new manager comes in. And what I mean by that is, if Poch comes in and the inconsistent performances remain, or he didn't get in the first team because Poch says, no, I prefer Fred and McTominay, it leaves Pogba almost in the mud, because it can't, if it's the third manager running that does it, it says more about the player than it does an individual manager. Do you get where I'm coming from? And it also then makes it very hard, because most of the Pogba supporters and the Oli outers want Pochettino to come in. So it puts them into a position where he's very difficult to defend. I think there's an element here for every direction you look at this from. Sell Paul Pogba, move him on, cash in, wish him goodwill, and then we wash our hands from this and move on to pastures new. I just think that's the best outcome for everyone.
Right. And the one thing you mentioned about the media, yeah, I remember when Jerome Boateng, when he was a Manchester City player, he used to complain that one of the things he disliked about playing in England was the media. And I think that's definitely one of the factors that might push him out of the club in order to force a move. It's all the time, we've seen it with the Sun, with this fake news of him dropping, just leaving, not playing for France anymore. I think that's just ridiculous from them.
Yeah.
And it's just all the time, this media that always on Paul Pogba, always the pundits, I think the pundits, they do have a certain bias for like English players, in my opinion, which is really unfortunate to see, because sometimes when players like Pogba do well, it's sometimes not really, it's underlooked at. And I think Pogba he just needs to go. Like, he's a good player. He's done his part for United. He was there under Mourinho winning trophies, but I just think, he just has to go. It's as simple as that. He has to revive his career somewhere else, somewhere where he can actually play in the position he wants.
Yeah, and I love Paul Pogba as a player. I think he's very much, when I say luxury player, I don't even mean it as an insult. He needs to go and play for a manager who has a system that enables there to be a room for a kind of marauding player that doesn't need to be overtly disciplined. I actually think Poch would be the wrong manager for him. I think if Allegri came in, it would work a lot better. But I think if Poch comes in, Poch likes a workhorse midfield. Poch likes pressing, high press. He likes a lot of running. He will undoubtedly be using Bruno Fernandes as his number 10. He loves.
He wanted him at Tottenham.
Yeah, he wanted him at Tottenham. He also wants his number 10s to run on from deep. So what Poch likes is strikers that can drop deep and drop out wide and create those holes and spaces for the 10 to run into. Predominantly, he's going to be picking Bruno Fernandes for that. He's also a massive fan of Van der Beek as well. He may look at them as being a bit more mobile and nimble. He might surprise us all and pick Paul Pogba, but I just don't think Paul Pogba technically is definitely suited to Poch, but in terms of the work rate and the work ethic and the pressing element, that isn't Paul Pogba's game. So you need to he needs to go somewhere where his exact kind of skill set is required and needed. And I think that's something that's so overlooked in football. And that's the problem you have at Man United when we have no plan as a football club. You know, we were planning to buy Paul Pogba for LVG. Now, I think the LVG system of possession-based football is amazing for Paul Pogba because you hold on to the ball. It wasn't about a pressing game as such. It was about structural position. I think LVG would have got an amazing amount of football out of Paul Pogba. And maybe that's what it is that he needs. But he played under Jose, which wasn't for me right for Paul. He then comes under Ollie, which he's had large periods of time where it's been good, but it hasn't been consistently good enough for the level we've seen. And I think what then happens is you bring in a Bruno Fernandes as an example, and then you suddenly go, yeah, that's what top level consistency looks like. And I get people who say, oh, yeah, these 3 or 4 bad games. Well, all players have average games. Like this, I think that the one thing about football fans that makes me laugh is they believe that, you know, Thierry Henry, arguably the greatest player in Premier League history, out of 50 games in a season, there'd be at least 10 to 15 where he was average to okay. He might have scored goals in those games, but they all drop them. This kind of weird notion that certain players are just brilliant every single game. It's one of the biggest myths in football. But I think Bruno, it's highlighted more to people that this is what we want. And I think that's right. But then I don't want to make it a Paul Pogba thing. When it comes to your star players, so when it comes to your Rashfords, Martials, Brunos, Pogbas, Maguires, AWBs, you have to throw age into this because you're talking about Bruno and Pogba being mid to late 20s as opposed to being early 20s, like, say, Rashford and AWB. But that's when you start to say, right, that's the benchmark for what consistency looks like. Do you get where I'm coming from? And people keep talking about standards. Well, you have to look at what players are performing and the standard they're at. So I look at AWB, and I know people attack his attacking prowess. That's not his fault. It's what he is. When I look at his defensive ability, for me, the consistency of quality defending that he delivers is what I want from everybody else. You know, the quality that I see from Bruno Fernandes and the consistency is what I want from my midfield and my attacking players. And that's the benchmark we've got to start to set as a standard, because if everybody was performing as consistently as Bruno, maybe not to the same ability because everyone's got different skill sets, we would be higher up the table. Man United's problem in recent years is Fred is a great example of this. When Fred's on form, Fred's amazing. But then Fred will have 3 or 4 games on the bounce where you think, who's this guy? Like, he's not even what you need when a player's out of form. Is it still to be a 6 out of 10 performance? Our problem is some of our players are either 7, 8, 9 out of 10, or they're 3 or 4 out of 10. There's no bloody middle ground with us, and that's the frustrating bit, really. And it really is. But listen, saying thank you very much for coming on, having your say, mate. You always speak sense, always make really good points. Chat to you soon, my brother. Thank you. Listen, everyone who's tuned in this morning, thank you very, very much. As always, do me that big favor, like I said, of hitting that like button. I can't express to you enough how important that is. Sign up to our members list and our newsletter. The link for that is inside our description below. The first newsletter should be getting released in the next couple of days. Ram's going to get that prepared and out for us very, very soon. We were going to release one about a week or so ago, but I wanted to wait for more numbers until we started sending that out. Competition's almost ready to go as well. We're just waiting on a few pieces of confirmation, so get yourself signed up as well. But until next time, people, take care of yourselves. Goodbye, God bless, and we'll see you all again very, very soon.